If it's okay with you, I would like to share with you my personal manifesting journey, taking you to more of my vulnerable side about why manifesting became so important. So, there was a point in time in my life when I was stressed out, pulling my hair out. I was done. Life just became way too difficult. I was done limiting myself with what I could eat in the sense of like living off the cheap bread, the cheap pasta, the cheap 2-minute noodles. I was done. And I can tell you now, my digestive system was absolutely done with like that limited basic diet. I was done with telling my children that I cannot afford it. Simple things like ice cream after school, going to shopping with them to buy a present for the party that they were going to on the weekend. I was done saying that, no, I cannot afford it. Or me having to do without to pay for another child's birthday present so they could go to the party, let alone stressing out about what my children would wear. But that's a whole nother story. I was done with stressing out over the price of petrol. I remember a really incredibly hot day, the windows down in the car, and my daughter asked me, like, surely we could just turn the aircon on. And I was so petrified of how much that would cost to the petrol price by turning the aircon on in the car. Like I was done with that kind of restriction. I was just done with missing out. I hadn't been to a restaurant in years. I hadn't experienced buying brand new clothes. I was done with missing out on, being able to say yes to friends or being able to keep up with the activities they were doing. I was certainly done with feeling sick and tired. Now, I know energetically when we're stuck in that fatigue, we're stuck in that depletion, we've dropped into that scarcity mode. The body's way of responding to that stress is to escape. And it escapes by just building up that fatigue. It's that fight or flight, the adrenal fatigue. The body's like, I have no resources, life's too stressful, let's go to sleep, let's escape. And I was also done with feeling trapped, just that lack of choice, stuck in that hamster wheel, same routine, day in, day out. Sound familiar? If you're called to do this course, I'm pretty sure that one or if not all of those sort of ticking the box saying, okay, Claire, tell me how to manifest. And believe me, if you've hit rock bottom, feeling broken, things can turn around really quickly. I've seen people turn this story around in a very short time, be it a month, be it 3 months, but this can turn around really quickly. With that kind of angst and that kind of stress, I remember there was that one particular night, it was a humid night, where I looked up to the stars, feeling completely alone, sobbing. I was basically on my knees, just begging, hoping that the spirit world or the universe or something outside of me would just get it. Like I was so desperate for something to change. And I remember just being out there with that angst, hoping that the neighbors wouldn't see me. Uh, it's a bit of a contradiction, but I was just in such a mess. I was just like, please, universe, something has to change. And it's with that moment in time where it's like drawing a line in the sand. I had had enough of trying to work it out myself. I, bring in the guides, bring in the universe. Like I've tried all of the human things to do to turn this around. Nothing is changing. So, powers that be, what's the answer? And so, diving a little bit more into my vulnerability, a little bit more into my story. Soon after I put that massive request out to the universe, things had changed. I had met some people who were able to support my spiritual beliefs. They were able to help me understand my connection to spirit, my connection to myself, my connection to my soul. And knowing that the universe had brought that support in, I was able to actually let the authorities know what was actually going on in my home life for me and for my daughters. It was one particular Wednesday night where the police had to remove my ex for what they had said was one of the most horrendous cases of domestic violence. And while it can feel a bit, I can feel my whole body tingling sharing this with you, and I'm letting those feelings just sort of move through me. It was that bad that I had met with some of the police a few years after who attended that night, and they themselves had said, "I needed counselling after what I had witnessed within you and your case, Claire." Like, it was that shocking. So once the police had removed my ex, my four daughters and I, we did go homeless for a bit, living in a caravan. We did end up The banks took the house 2 weeks before Christmas because he'd stopped paying the mortgage. The car had to be handed back because he stopped paying for the car loan. And I had been isolated while I had been studying in the background because I knew I would escape one day. I wasn't actually allowed to work. I wasn't given the freedom to work. I wasn't given the freedom to do very, very much. And so having life just completely flip 180, 1 minute I'm completely trapped to, okay, apparently there's this big wide world and you and your four daughters, you got to go work it out from, from the bottom. It was incredibly difficult to navigate. My daughters and I were relying on food banks and the amazing generosity of strangers. And I remember a counselor or a psychologist saying, like, wow, you really have hit rock bottom. What's keeping you to be able to move forward that one step after another? And I said, I felt more suicidal in that relationship, more suicidal, just being completely trapped with no way out. And now I've broken free. Now I'm the most free I've ever been, living in the caravan, relying on food banks. It was a massive, massive turnaround. And so recognizing that things had changed, that's when I started to interact and learn more about healing like Reiki, theatre healing, NLP, holistic counseling, and it was just amazing, the synchronicities and the generosity of people, how people introduced me to a variety of modalities that meant that I could start resolving and dissolving all my people pleasing stories, my victim stories, my all of the fear, the scarcity, the lack, the all of that, all of those old stories, all of the old narratives on why I didn't deserve it. Who do you think you are? All of that, you know, I started to move that with coaches, NLP coaches and healers. And so slowly started to change. Things started to change where really, really quickly, instead of being in the caravan, a property became available. And from there, I could start my own NLP business and I could start coaching people. I then ended up manifesting a house in my dream location, no mortgage involved. I was able to afford my home. I was able to go to Hawaii with a partner at that time, and it was just the most breathtaking experience, the most spiritually uplifting, awakening kind of experience. I then was able to afford buying my own car with cash. Again, no banks involved. It was really, oh my gosh, it's such a sense of freedom to have your own car. No man, no bank, no one can take it away. It was mine. And going from carless to like owning your own brand new car. Ah, it's such a liberating experience. And then from there, married my now husband David, and just completely enmeshed in that beautiful giving and receiving relationship. When I became an NLP trainer, I then celebrated that by going out and taking the action to buy Richie. Now, Richie was a Blenheim Cavalier that I had wanted pretty much since I was a little girl. And when I've completed my NLP trainer's qualification there, I did name him Richie. I did name him Richard, Richard Bandler. And the thing is, Richard Bandler is one of the co-founders of NLP. Richard, or Richie, is known to be mischievous, to bring a lot of laughter, to bring a lot of ease into people's lives, and to really push the boundaries of what's possible. The question is, am I talking about Richie or am I talking about Richard Bandler? Because both of them are so lovingly naughty in their own rights. And so it's a bit of a joke in my household to be able to say, yes, I live with Richard Bandler, Chancellor, and he's amazing and he's wonderful. And he keeps us guessing in our lives. So This goes to show my entire journey here from going through such massive, broken hardship to turning things around gives me that inner knowing that the clients that I work with, they too can turn their lives around. You can turn your life around. You can manifest. You can take all of the tools in my toolkit, make them your own, and manifest the life that just it's just magical that your intuition is pulling you towards. That's the evidence for me that manifesting works. And I hope my story inspires you to be able to start to manifest your dreams. I'll talk to you later.